Hi, welcome back online, Sangha. Before we introduce this morning's talk, we have a brief announcement for next week.
Hello, everyone. I am delighted to invite you to bring the pet, if you feel so moved. The furry members of our Sangha can come next week to the pet blessing ceremony that will be held in the courtyard during Sunday morning Zen. I hope that you are able to attend and see you then. I just wanted to extend that invitation.
Thank you. And now to this morning's Dharma talk. Let's see if I can get us in the box. Okay, there we go. Zooming in. Okay. Okay, we can bring it out a little, okay?
Yeah, this is maybe just less of me. Go ahead. Show everybody.
Oh, you want less of you, or you want the table included?
Oh, I guess we need the table. Okay.
Okay.
Not the techies.
With great joy, I introduce Jacqui Genshin Weiner-O'Shea. If you want to know more about her, you can ask, but I will give you, there's a lot to know. I will give you just the brief. A licensed couples marriage counselor, co-steward of our Open Heart Circle, and a wonderful friend. This talk is called Enemy, Stranger, and Friend, The Gifts of the Three Tenets.
All right. Okay, can everybody hear me all right out there in Loveland? Wonderful, wonderful. Well, great morning, right? As a therapist, we tell people good is not a feeling, great really isn't either, but great morning to everybody. We have a really full Sangha, don't we? I mean, looking around, when we need to pull up more chairs, that's exactly what we want. A lot of love. Good to see people that I've known for a long time, in a short time, and welcome to people that have allowed us to practice with them again for a second time, perhaps a third time. Welcome back home. It's good to see everybody. So this might be difficult to see right here. This is our Roshi, Robert. I'm Bernie Glassman. We've talked about Bernie. And this is Sandra Holm. This is Bernie's second wife, possibly, maybe first. I didn't really get that right in time. But first, because we weren't sure yesterday if he was married 3 times or 2. But then he eventually married Eve Marco, might have heard of. So I want to keep this up here because I think it's really important for our Sangha to know that our Roshis have been very deeply, deeply involved and embedded in the legacy and the lineage that we all get a chance to be a part of. And in a way, it's interesting because we're kind of like 3rd generations, if you want to, if you talk about Maizumi Roshi. It's not like we're talking about some very far-fetched teachings. I mean, Buddha's teachings, they go back a long, long time. But for us to be able to grasp what it really means to live open, wholeheartedly, we've just got a plethora of amazing teachers within our lifetime and right here in our Sangha. So if you truly are interested in a Zen-inspired life, feel really grateful that we have the Roshis that we have here and the teachers that we have here, because we are so very intimately close to the Dharma And our Buddha nature is right here blossoming all the time. So thank you very much for being my Sangha. And I will put a little note out right now that I am not tech savvy whatsoever. Like, I am 8-track, Rolodex, recipe, box person. I am not. So there's going to be a little bit of technology going on later in the talk. So just, bear with that. We have to suffer a little, don't we? So we might suffer through that a little bit. But so my talk today is enemy, stranger, friend. And what I would really ask everyone to consider as we all talk together is this range, right? The goal would be towards friendship, kinship, kindness, love, togetherness, oneness, no othering. But we have the spectrum, enemy, stranger, friend. So as we talk together and have some visual stimulation, if you will, later, please just keep in mind for yourself, for this morning, and for your heart to open, to consider where words, ideas, visual, temptations, where those lie on that scale for you. And there's offspring of enemy, of stranger, of friend, right? Enemy could be someone I dislike, friend could be associate, just like with skin colors, where do we decide that white goes brown and brown goes black, or black goes brown and brown goes white? Where do we decide? Where are those lines between enemy, stranger, friend? And then what we do as a Sangha is we sit so that we can take a look and be contemplative about where did those notions come from? Are these choices I'm making? Are these habits I'm used to? Are these things that I've been conditioned to? And the wonderful gift that we're going to talk about the 3 tenets, is that we have a practice that allows us to reorient all of that if we choose to. If we choose to, we don't have to be stuck by that kind of bondage of conditioning. So that's what we're going to dive into this morning. Okay? So the Zen Peacemaker Order and the 3 tenets are skillful means. Those were created in 1994 by Roshi Glassman and Roshi Holmes. It was an expression of their Buddhist vows to live an awakened life, to alleviate suffering. It was a culmination of 2,500 years of direct transmission by committed practitioners. This was teacher to student across generations and continents, reaching all the way back to the Buddha. Originally, it was intended strictly for Zen practitioners, but it eventually blossomed into an international interfaith network, and that's simply called Zen Peacemakers. So if you notice on the website or hear it in this particular Sangha, that's what we're part of. And I think we say it, and we know it, but I don't know if we really delve into what that means, what that commitment is, and what a great gift that that's what we do, and that's what we're a part of. So when I hear words like international, and I know about Zoom, the great thing is I can plug into that Peacemaker's Order anytime I want to, from wherever I am, if I want that kind of love around me, and I want to be a part of that. So to note, our very own Roshi Roberts had become the executive director of the Zen Peacemaker Order. And according to Roshi Bernie, in an article that he did with the Zen Peacemakers newsletter magazine, and I quote, he diligently put together rules, regulations, and a manual for the order and arranged the first gathering of the ZPO members in 2001 at the Grayston Foundation site in Yonkers, New York. Our Roshi. So we can go to him whenever we need to find more about this if we really want to. And I'm sure a sit down with him would really be a wonderful conversation, should you be curious or interested. So the Zen Peacemaker Order mission, which would then be, for me, my mission, because I am part of that order by being part of the Sangha, is to realize our oneness and relieve suffering through contemplative social action based on our 3 tenets. The first one, not knowing. So just hold that for a minute. See where it shows up in your body, the thought of not knowing something. Well, control freak number one, it doesn't feel too good, not knowing. It's not good for me. I'm getting better at not knowing, but it is one of the tenets. It's giving up fixed ideas about ourselves, other people, and the universe. Number two, bearing witness. Bearing witness. I feel of that as a heaviness, bearing. And what does it mean to witness? Ask yourself that for a moment. And how do we witness? With all of our senses? Are we bystander witness? Are we engaged witnesses? Are we quiet listening witnesses? Well, this says, we bear witness to the joy and suffering of the world, totally immersing oneself in the situations that one is involved in. Total immersion, needing to be in the moment, that's a big requirement. And the third is loving action for ourselves and others, healing oneself and others out of the ingredients that do come up from bearing witness. So it does suggest we couldn't just do the third one without the bearing witness, because then we just kind of superimpose ourselves onto things. So Roshi Bernie saw these three tenets as traditional Zen, phrased in fresh modern idiom. He said that in Zen training, koan study gets you to experience the state of not knowing. Then bearing witness is just sitting meditation, or shikantaza. And loving action is none other than compassion. And the good news is we all have compassion. We all have Buddha nature, so we all have compassion. In terms of peace and justice work, he explained the three tenets by saying that positive change doesn't come out of an activist having fixed ideas. That would be kind of how my activism would start, my own fixed ideas. What really helps is being completely open and listening deeply. Listening deeply. He said when we bear witness, when we become the situation, homelessness, poverty, illness, violence, death, the right action arises by itself. I would really like to have more things in my life that seem effortless. We don't have to worry about what to do. Well, that's a huge worry. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? We don't have to figure out solutions ahead of time. Future tripping. Oh yeah. Peacemaking is the function of bearing witness. Once we listen with our entire body and mind, loving action arises. So for me, in order to accomplish the mission, it's important to consider my internal judgments and prejudices, to use my practice to begin to transform my delusion of separateness from others, to remove labels in my conditioned mind and begin to choose equanimity. And equanimity is not a thing or an idea, it's an action. Just like love is an action, hate is an action. So when we think about this range, okay, this range of enemy, stranger, friend. And I think we have relationships, right, where sometimes someone's a friend and then they are gone for a while, they turn into a stranger, and then they reappear and they do something that's horrible, doesn't feel right, and they become an enemy. And then you see them after a while, a long while, and they maybe have changed, maybe they've taken up Zen practice, and now they're a stranger again. And then they become a friend. And I always, think about, who are my enemies? Who thinks I'm theirs is the question. Who thinks I'm their enemy? Where have I been in the world where I've left that message with somebody? That they need to avoid me, that I'm not approachable. So how do you perceive an enemy and a stranger and a friend? And just as we talk and as you leave here and as you live your precious life, how did that form? So we'll talk about an enemy first, okay? Fundamentally, if there's an enemy, I would liken it to, let's say, I'm walking down the street, just doing my thing, right? Looking for random hearts in the world that appear, thinking about my day, and this wall drops right in front of me, right in front of me. That's an enemy. Except I put the wall there. It didn't drop. I put the wall there. I came onto something, towards something I'm walking towards. I put the wall there. My projections. That's what we're taught. I put the wall there. It is now in the way of me moving. So whether or not there's pride or fear or uncertainty, while that wall is there in my way, I will not reach the joyousness that I know that I have the potential to have, and I won't be able to give it because the wall's in the way. So as much as I want to say that the enemy is in front of me and it's causing me suffering, I am suffering because I refuse to move the wall and I refuse to work around the wall. I won't even grab a chisel. I'll just be like, well, I'm gonna wait for that wall to move. Wait for that wall to move. Our teacher, Mayogetsu, she said in one of her talks, it's a very small distance between our first breath and our last breath. How long are we going to keep the wall there? And it's certainly not the only wall. I mean, when I go walking, there's 500 walls, probably. So when we think about an enemy, what's your felt sense of enemy when you think about that inside yourself? Is it in your heart? Is it in your throat? Is it in your shoulder? Is it in your sciatic? Like, where does it land? What are the origins? And where did your heart pick up that idea? Can you even think back to the first time you ever felt that you had an enemy? Was it in a sandbox when you were in kindergarten or preschool? Was it something on the news, something your parents said, someone that hurt you? Well, the Buddha teaches us about enemies. More than those who hate you, more than all your enemies, an undisciplined mind does greater harm. Your worst enemy cannot hurt you as much as your own thoughts when you haven't mastered them. Thich Nhat Hanh. To love our enemy is impossible because the moment we understand our enemy, we feel compassion towards him or her, and then he or she is no longer our enemy. Shanti Deva. Thus, when enemies or friends are seen to act improperly, remain serene and call to mind that everything arises from conditions. Those who harm me rise against me. It's my karma that has summoned them. Our teacher, Shanti Deva. His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Sometimes your dear friend, though still the same person, feels more like an enemy. Instead of love, you feel hostility. But with genuine love and compassion, another person's appearance or behavior has no effect on your attitude. And we'll think about stranger. What's your felt sense of stranger? So Roshi Burney viewed encounters as strangers, especially those living in marginalized conditions, as opportunities to practice not knowing, bearing witness, and cultivating loving action, moving beyond fear and societal attachments to realize the interconnectedness of all life. Through street retreats, he encouraged people to enter unfamiliar environments and confront suffering, allowing for healing and a deeper understanding of oneself and society. Alan Watts shares the understanding that all living things are part of one world and one being means that no one is truly a stranger. No one is truly a stranger. Realizing this truth helps abolish the feeling of being a stranger in a hostile and alien world. Because what we don't project and impose on others, we could start believing for ourselves, couldn't we? When we're not othering. Zen Master Dogen expresses this idea: enlightenment is the intimacy of all things. This sense of intimacy applies not to just loved ones, but to every being, including those who are out of sight, forgotten, or I would add, yet unknown. And what's your felt sense of friend? How about that for a second? In the Buddhist tradition, the practice of metta, loving kindness, is used to develop unconditional friendliness towards all beings. This meditation practice begins by cultivating loving kindness for oneself and friends, before expanding to include strangers and even enemies. A Zen master views compassionate action towards strangers as a natural expression of their practice, not as a moral obligation that requires some kind of reward. The Buddha stressed the importance of good friendships for spiritual progress, seeing them as crucial for developing wholesome qualities and avoiding unwholesome ones. For us, we have refuge in our Sangha. Thich Nhat Hanh's teaching on friendship emphasizes that true friendship is a spiritual practice. And it's based on mindfulness, deep listening, and the interconnectedness of interbeing. Do we believe what we practice? So I'll stop for a second, just in case anyone has anything they'd like to share before we go on. There is a microphone if anyone does, or we can continue. Is there a second?
There's a mic behind you.
Oh, wonderful.
Wasn't that convenient?
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I just am sitting here, I was looking, I don't know what I did with my little fanny pack with my phone in it. I wanted to look up the etymology of the word enemy, because I don't really, that word doesn't really apply to anybody that I think about, you know? I think about maybe there's someone I don't like, or someone who irritates me. Enemy feels really strong, more active, like there's something on both sides. So I don't know, it's just a thought that was running through my head, is that the enemy role doesn't feel like it's applicable. Maybe there's some other role that I need to think about, that I other people in a different way than making them an enemy.
Well, I think that's a really good point, you know, that you're bringing up though, right? Is to not even let the barrier of not understanding the word, right? The language, or finding that that's not happening in your heart. That doesn't lead you to resist exploring it. It's still important because there's so many different aspects. Even dislike is an opportunity to avoid. It's an opportunity to not let somebody else find out who you are, and get the beauty of knowing you and what you could bring into their life. Because when we avoid others, we deny them us.
Right, it's the othering in
It's the
some
othering.
way that creates the separation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Pass it down.
Yeah, thank you. As to follow on with what Chris is saying, as you were talking about othering people and enemies, unbidden came to my mind the thought of the guidance I recently, like 2 days ago, received from the forest preserves about what to do if ice shows up at my preserve. Who should I call? What should I do? How should I approach them? And I'm thinking about now, you know, because activist people I know, and this goes back to what you were saying about activism, are very definite about how you should confront ICE agents. And, you know, it's very possible I could walk into my preserve and there they'd be, right? So what do I do? And it's an opportunity, if I'm not too scared, to practice the Zen peacemaker tenets. And I should say I've been a Quaker most of my life, so there's a deep tradition there too. And can you approach people who are hostile like that, visibly hostile, meant to be intimidating? You know, that's a real test of courage, to hold up the 3 tenets in return. In my personal life, do I have enemies? I have to follow Chris, you know, think about that, you know? Anyway, thank you for the time.
Yeah, I think, wow, that brings up a lot of thoughts now, just thinking about enemies, or even the, I guess, the function of an enemy, or whether or not it makes sense to view anyone as an enemy. In a way that, I guess, the way I would think about an enemy is someone that is existentially opposed to you in a way that forces you to be in conflict. So beyond just like a dislike, it's kind of like, if your interests are so against mine, I can't function with you being the way you are. So I don't know that I think that there are people that way. But yeah, the ICE situation is difficult because as much as you would like to be, I think there's a lot of being peaceful feels like it's being passive. But in this circumstance, if you have people that are in your life that are at danger of being under assault by these people, it's hard to be passive because that's kind of capitulation in a way. And that's hard. So it's the need to confront this other individual or individuals because of the conflict of interest is there, but does that make them an enemy? And I think it's interesting because I think a lot about, I'm Jewish, and I think about the Nazis a lot. My grandfather fought the Nazis, and I think a lot about what it takes to make someone, a human being be a Nazi. And I think for most people, even in pop culture, almost to like a lurid effect, we look at the Nazis as being like the embodiment of evil. If you're going to look at an enemy, the Nazis would be the perfect example of, against the interest of everybody. They're genocidal, they're, want to take over the world, I guess, or, and subjugate people. And, if there's an enemy, the Nazis would be an enemy. But at the same time, the Nazis were humans. They're people, and why did they do what they did? And I think at the root of it, that kind of rage is abstraction, is the ability to take other human beings and to abstract them, to turn them into something that is a cardboard cutout, to make them take all of the reasons why someone may be the way they are or what informs them, the concert of things that's them, and turn them into some cartoon character like a Gargamel that's proud to be evil. And it's your enemy. That's what an enemy is the abstraction that you look at them, the embodiment of your opposition. And I think what allows them to do the things they do and to do the evil they do is their ability to abstract the people that they do the evil they do to. And to talk to your enemy as though they're a human and a friend, and to challenge their abstraction by communicating with the understanding that that person can be able to see the world in multiple dimensions like you can, and see the humanity in people they might treat like they aren't, is to challenge that abstraction and to effectively make them no longer an enemy.
With regard to that, I'm thinking about a story from World War II, and a resistance fighter was driving a truck with Jewish children hidden in the back, trying to get them to safety. And they were stopped by a checkpoint. A young Nazi guard came up, and he noticed something. He was aware, and the driver of the truck looked him in the eye and said, "Be human." And apparently the guard at that point turned away and let the truck go through.
So just to note, the microphone doesn't amplify in the room. It just lets the people online hear, so you need to project your voice.
Yeah, I think the enemy the Buddha teaches us, our biggest enemy is our own mind. So I think if we look at the word enemy in terms of warfare, it's not really what we're talking about. I think it's more when I'm in traffic and it's merging lanes and I take a dislike to the person beside me and want to get in front of him, I see him as an enemy. I think, I don't think I want to kill him, but I do have that inner feeling of enemy. Growing up in an environment I grew up with a lot of enemies and a lot of hatred. But I don't think that's what we're talking about. I think we're talking about our projection as to that person wants something that I have, or he's my enemy at this moment in time, and that'll change. So I do have, I do not struggle with enemies, but I do treat people as enemies at times. And I feel that people treat me as enemies instead.
Maybe to take it even to a more subtle level, I know for myself, I can see the word enemy is pretty strong, right? I hear about Nazis and all that stuff, but looking at people who threaten me, and I could say in one instance, all of you threaten me with your judgments that I perceive that you have of me, that I can make you into the other and try my hardest to make you like me rather than just show up. So that enemy is really the thought I have, to build on what you're saying, and how I think, just to add on to this, is that I think through biology and evolution, I think we are designed to be on guard, to survive. And that's sort of our challenge. That's why we practice, really, is to be able to see that thinking that has us make other people others who threaten us, whether that's real or not. I find for me, that's where I really need to work, like really putting people who threaten me, which the threat isn't real. It's not like they have a gun to my head or they're gonna knife me. It's like, oh, I think they might threaten my identity or my sense of self through their judgments of me, even though I don't even know if they have those judgments.
Exactly. Thank you. And I think that we're learning, we're learning that, at least I'm learning that I'm my biggest threat. My mind is my biggest enemy. We have another.
Thank you.
Sure. Good morning.
Thank you. Wonderful talk. The way you were talking gave me triggered another thought. So, if there is a real danger or threat, we can feel like self-righteous that he's the enemy or that person or that circumstance, that individual. But since that possibility exists and we get into this analytical, is that a threat or not a threat? And you pretty much, we still get trapped in that othering and that enemy and everything. What I'm wrestling with, even if there is a threat, even that guy might have a gun to my head or after my job or whatever, or is that still an enemy? Is that still, he's doing based on his karma or conditions, whatever. There's so many interconnections. Just the concept of enemy itself is probably completely manufactured inside. We just you do what you got to do. You protect your family, you protect yourself, but somehow, I know it's tough, it's easy to say, but that's the practice, I guess, is I don't treat you as enemy even if you want to kill me, but that's something, just,
Yes.
I feel like that's the...
Thank you. Have everyone, we're going to do a little slideshow right now, so if you want to turn your chair so that you can see it. If you're online, please pin my Hollywood Square for the people that are on Zoom. Oh, I see. Thank you. Like I said, I don't get this stuff. I'm looking over at Shuso. I'm trying to help me get a little bit more with the times. So right here is our Roshi Bernie, Maizumi Roshi. Some of these pictures might be a little hard to see, I'm sorry. Hopefully they'll... Can you break the circle here? Yeah, wherever you want to sit, you're at the movie theater now, so get yourself comfortable, see the pictures. Do you want to use mine? No. Okay, so please, as we do this, I'm going to show you a few pictures of Bernie in action as Peacemaker, and then we'll go into a little bit more of a directed exercise. So this is him and Maizumi Roshi. And why am I not? Let me see something here. Here they are, Auschwitz, doing a street retreat. And again, you might recognize the woman sitting to his right is Ellen Bernstein. She played the mother in The Exorcist. We reach a lot of people, even ones we think are so far away from us. It's another one. Beautiful picture of them in the snow. Another retreat. So now I'm just going to ask everybody to find your heart and your head and your mind, and I'm going to have you look at some pictures, and keep in mind however the enemy, stranger, friend barometer is for you, whether we've talked about being dislike, uncertainty, and association, whatever that is. I'm asking you to take an exercise in seeing where these visual stimulations land for you on that scale. All right? So what rose up inside when you saw these two men? Right, the next time I do one of these, Shuso's going to show me how to make pictures that people can actually see. All right, I'll take you back to this. What rises up when you see these two men?
I mean, for me,
Well, no, we're going to go. I'm sorry, quietly, just for your No, I'm going to keep going. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have said that first. Okay, we're going to do this as a quiet exercise. Now, do you feel differently when you see these two men? How does this settle? And do we have preconceived notions about situations and people based on our past experiences? Does fear and uncertainty direct you and your thinking? What's your felt sense here? Can you handle people with different ideas of what balance and harmony might mean? How do you regard these two boys? Does that same regard carry over for these two boys? How do you feel about this little bit of life? And where does your mind go when you see this distant cousin? Our next little sentient being serves as a real valuable subject for medical research, unraveling mechanisms of human resilience. It's a model for studying wound healing, and they possess regenerative properties. They play a crucial role as decomposers in ecosystems. And this next creature can cause a lot of allergic symptoms, including eye irritation, respiratory issues, and skin rashes. Where does your heart take you now? Does this little gift take you elsewhere? What do you think about them? Do you care to understand what made them choose this path? Do you respect her? Admire her? Would you have 5 years ago? Now, are you part of the reason this guy got a bad name? Is his neighbor really much different? This next one really benefits the ocean ecosystem, preventing disease outbreaks, contributes to nutrient and redistribution, supports biodiversity, keeps the ocean healthy. While his distant neighbor bears the risk of disease and parasite outbreaks and has the potential to cause ecological harm by destroying aquatic plants and stirring up sediment. This friend has had a very sick mother ever since he was a toddler. He developed defenses to protect himself from indifference, fear, and neglect that was part of his childhood. His father expected obedience in any way he thought fit. How do you feel about him? And does he still land there now that he's all grown up? So a couple things I'm going to close with. One of them is from Thich Nhat Hanh. When you plant lettuce, if it does not grow well, you don't blame the lettuce. You look for reasons it is not doing well. You may need fertilizer or more water or less sun. You never blame the lettuce. Yet if we have problems with our friends or family, we blame the other person. But if we know how to take care of them, they will grow well like the lettuce. Blaming has no positive effect at all, nor does trying to persuade using reason and argument. That is my experience. No blame, no reasoning, no argument, just understanding. If you understand and you show that you understand, you can love, and the situation will change. Roshi Bernie says, if there is somebody you really dislike and they are talking, imagine them with a clown nose on. And say, that's your opinion, man. And with that, you won't have any problems. So I am going to end this talk by reading, if I can find it, something from our sutra book. And I should have had this ready, I apologize. We have plenty of time. It is the loving kindness. We probably should all read it. I think we have time. Yeah, we can grab some sutra books. It's on page 37. Let's grab some sutra books. Come on, everybody. Don't all get up at one time. It's okay. We'll read it. We can share books. We don't have to everybody have them. We can sit next to everybody. And I encourage you during kinship, if there's somebody who feels a little bit like a stranger, move towards friendship and say hello. All right, we're on page 37. If you have the books at home. And we'll read this together. 37. I don't know where it is if you have a larger book. I'm sorry, but it comes in after, for those online, it's after Mind of Absolute Trust in the Sutra book. All right? So we'll start. This is a loving kindness sutra, a prayer by the one who is wise, who seeks the good and has obtained peace. We'll do this together. May one be responsible, ethical, and sincere, without pride, easily satisfied and joyous. May one not be submerged by the things of the world. May one not take upon oneself the excesses of riches. May one learn regulation of the senses. May one be wise but not puffed up. And may one not desire lavish possessions even for one's family. May one refrain from being mean and harmful. May all beings be happy. May they be joyous and live in safety. All living beings, whether weak or strong, in high or middle or low realms of existence, small or great, visible or invisible, near or far, born or to be born, may all beings be happy. May no one deceive another, nor despise any beings in any state. Let none by anger or hatred wish harm to another. Even as a mother at the risk of her life watches over and protects her only child, so with a boundless mind may one cherish all living things, suffusing love over the entire world, above, below, and all around without limit. So let one cultivate an infinite goodwill toward the whole world, standing, walking, sitting, or lying down during all one's waking hours. May one practice the way with gratitude, not holding to fixed views, endowed with insights, released from sense appetites. One who realizes the way will be liberated from the duality of birth and death.
Jacqui, thank you so much. This was a wonderful morning. Just really great. The conversation, everything. And I really love the enemy, stranger, friend. I think it's good for us to be challenged to think about the word enemy. Like we don't realize we've actually created enemies until we really think about it like that. And I love the word stranger. It's a wake-up call at how we look at people. And of course, friend is so deep. Thank you so much.
Any last thoughts, comments before we? Oh yeah, right here, Blair.
Hi, well, I thought I'd take the opportunity to make people aware that today, between 1 and 4, there is an event that Compound Yellow down the street, the big yellow structure devoted to community and the arts and music. Compound Yellow and some community groups in Austin are offering an opportunity to meet. It's called Crossing Austin. And I was trying to find the address. I think it's down Lake Street. Yeah.
Right, yeah, right across.
Well, no, that's where Compound Yellow is, but the event in Austin
It's in Austin.
it's in Austin.
Okay.
And all are invited, and there'll be music, and there'll be various kinds of opportunities to interact with people who may be strangers to us.
Thanks, Blair.
Yes, right here.
Thank you very much for your talk. And I think I'm still feeling like the effects of the retreat, because all these pictures I saw more connection than disconnection. So that's interesting. But I was also wondering, like watching a lot of the cartoons, Disney. My son is 6, and we're always exploring the idea of, because in almost every cartoon there is a villain and there is a hero, and then they become friends or they become separated, and I'm curious to know, like, because I see him, my son, he's 6, being very interested in dynamics. So you see it from the very young age that it's like, oh no, he's a villain, like they can't talk to him, or he's the hero, he's gonna save them. And I've been having, like, for a long time, that curiosity question, like how to translate that, right? Like, and how to translate that in a way to not blame the villain, but also be vigilant that there are people that might cause you harm and you have to be careful, but that, you know, you still can understand them. And I'm still struggling with that question.
Yeah, I've been thinking about the topic as everyone's been talking, and kind of what you were saying solidified my thoughts on it, which is that what makes someone an enemy or a stranger or a friend is just an idea, right? A thought or a belief or an idea. And I think especially when it comes to enemy and stranger, those ideas are passed on to us, they're inherited, and they're very big ideas. And I think a lot of them start and are born in media, cartoons, books, things that we read, and they're passed on. And so it's like when we're examining why we see someone as an enemy or a stranger or a friend, it's also important to look at what is the actual idea that was passed on. Is it racism, homophobia, xenophobia? Like, what is it? And identify that idea, because I do think that those ideas, in a way, are the enemy, right? They go against our connectedness, our being able to come together. And so it's like, how can we name those ideas, look at them, understand what they are and how they influence our perception and our actions, and then be able to take change from there. But I do think, I have a 4-year-old son, and I watch the same stuff, and I'm like, I gotta find some other stuff for him to watch, because some of it, I mean, it's just planting ideas in his mind, and it's hard to come back those ideas with like, well, no, but this is actually the way, you know. And so, yeah, I think that what I notice now more as a mom of a young child is like, these ideas that our society has given us are like pervasive, like it's scary. So yeah.
Oh, very quickly. I'll be short. It just occurred to me, though, too, that when we're walking out in the world, we are walking in a forest of other people's projections. And so that complicates the relations. And that's, I think that's important to remember, too, because we're talking about our own minds. But that wall, actually, I beg to differ, it could be put down by that ICE agent. You know, it's not your wall, it's their wall. And you can try to breach it. But it's, and the people that you feel are judging you, same thing. You know, maybe they are. It's their walls, it's their projections. And that's the, I guess that's the unstable, tricky part, right?
And to tie on briefly with the thoughts about media, I have a young teenage daughter, and boy, do those conversations get complicated with what little girls or young women start to see on TV and media too. So I feel like that's so important to be able to highlight that high level idea that is just so subversive in media. So thank you for bringing up that point. It was a great talk. Thank you all for your conversation and being a part. We are at time, so sorry to say goodbye this morning to our online Sangha. Have a lovely Sunday. Everyone here in the Buddha Hall, please join us to continue the conversation with snacks and kinship in the community room. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Later with like a party.
that. I don't want the Play-Doh back. You keep the Play-Doh. I always have Play-Doh. I have it when I have my clients. Yeah, and when there's a talk, because you know, it really is proven.